So it keeps getting worse in Uvalde. You thought it couldn't get worse, so here's a new headline. Uvalde mother who was cuffed trying to save kids claims she's now being harassed by the police. Yeah. Yes, she's being harassed by the police. So she got cuffed. Well, here's what happened when she goes, right away as I parked, a U.S. Marshal started coming toward my car, saying that I wasn't allowed to be parked there. Ms. Gomez said in an interview with CBS early this month. And he said, well, we're going to have to arrest you because you're being very uncooperative. These are as her kids are inside a building being killed. She recalled the officer saying to her before she said he immediately put me in cuffs. And so here she is now on a local news report talking about being harassed by those cops. The mother who rescued her 2 boys from the Uvalde gunman says she's being harassed by cops at her own home. Angel Rose Gomez says she had to separate from her boys just so my sons don't feel like they have to watch cops passing by and stopping. Here we go.
24th Gomez claims she's been faced with scrutiny from law enforcement at her own home.
The other night we were exercising and we had a cop parked at the corner flickering us with his headlights.
Due to incidents like this, Gomez said she is separated from her boys.
Just so my sons don't feel like they have to watch cops passing by, stopping, parking.
She has been protesting along with other community members in Uvalde Town Square, asking for UCISD Police Chief Pete Arredondo to be fired. Her goal now is to file a lawsuit.
The fact that he wasn't fired immediately based upon whatever it is, hours of video from testimony such as from Angeli, is an indication that there is some sort of a, corrupt.
24th Gomez claims she's been faced with scrutiny.
So that's the end of that. So you thought it couldn't get worse? It got worse. By the way, that police chief has been put on suspension. So they've put him on leave or whatever they do. I'm sure he's still getting paid. So he gets a vacation. But he's also at the weird thing that the police chief was also elected to the city council, and he was supposed to be seated in the city council like a week or two ago, and he didn't show up. And so if you don't show up for 3 meetings in a row without excused absence, then they can kick you off the city council. So I would tell those people, adjourn the meeting and have 2 more right away, on the same night, and then get rid of that guy, because that guy he was so incompetent that I think it rises to the level of criminal. So I think he was criminally negligent, and he might even do time. He might, because the outrage is so high. Will he? I doubt it. You got to find someone in that state to prosecute him. And it's going to be, prosecution and cops. They're the same thing. They don't usually like to do that. So let me bring in my panel. And what do either of you make of this?
They're going to demolish that school, by the way.
So they're going to demolish that school, which gets rid of all the evidence. Yeah. So now independent people cannot go in and look for the evidence at that place, right?
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to these mass shootings, the first thing that people need to look at, instead of saying what type of gun did he have, is they have to start looking at what the connections are with the FBI. And every single situation, it seems like the gunman was either flagged by the FBI, talked to by the FBI. So those are the things I look at. And every single time you look at this situation, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Like you said right now today, like she's getting harassed on a regular basis simply for going in there and rescuing her kid. It stinks to all high heaven. And, I'd really like to see an independent investigation and everything go in there. But they're about to destroy the school now. So it's a joke at this point.
So, yeah, every time you cover a story on Uvalde, it's like literally they're doing each and everything they could do to make me question the motives and is there something deeper at play here? I don't know how many times they've been caught lying, and now they're harassing the mother of the kids. Joe Biden went to the town, and I love that clip of Joe Biden going to Uvalde and visiting the parents there, and they're all chanting, "Do something" at him. He's not going to do anything. The only thing he'll do is make sure that these cops and these politicians, that they're all protected and nothing happens to them.
So they did pass a bipartisan gun control bill that is absolutely toothless and does nothing. So if that makes you feel good, they did that. So they did that so they can go say, look, we did something, but they didn't do anything. It's nothing.
Well, the red flag laws are the things that are kind of like a little suspicious right now. I think they can just kind of single out if they want to say, oh man, that guy Jackson Hinkle, you know, he's not stable, he can't have a gun, and then they can take a gun away from him. I think you're going to see like kind of like pinpoint and accuracy of attacks on certain people that they don't want to have guns on. So I mean, and if those are the people who probably attended January 6th, you know, or people who look like that at least. So I mean, there are concerns in some areas. I mean, it is toothless in some ways, but the red flag laws to me are a little bit nervous. Make me a little bit nervous. So
what are red flag laws, Craig?
Well, it's when somebody can go to a judge or go to a authority and say, well, that person is not stable. You know, like I was saying, he shouldn't have a gun, and then they can restrict that person from not having a gun or registering to get a gun until they figure out what's what.
Oh, okay.
Like it's probably what Cenk Uygur would do to you if you had a gun.
Jimmy shouldn't have a gun.
Okay. Well, you thought it couldn't get worse in Uvalde, and it just got a little worse. It gets worse every time you talk about this story, and the cops are doing their best to make everyone realize that they're criminals, because those cops are criminals. So I've again, there's very little difference. I grew up around cops. My grandpa was a cop. My dad's a cop. Older brothers are cops. Some of my best friends in Chicago are cops. I go to their weddings. They're half turning the screw away from criminals, if not criminals, right? And it doesn't make them bad people. I know. Well, Jim, you're saying they're criminals. I'm saying that they manipulate the law for themselves all the time. They'll lie under oath. They'll lie in a police report all the time. And they selectively choose to enforce laws or not all the time. So, and plus there's a culture of policing. There's a culture of police. There's the blue line. Just like gangs, you don't snitch. You know, gangs, they don't snitch. If you snitch, they kill you. Cops are the same way.
Oh, yeah.
So that's that. So that's what I say. What you go, Jimmy, are there no good cops? Well, what I've been told by people who study policing in America, what I've been told by academics who study it, is that there's a police culture. And the culture is corrupt, meaning it hides criminals inside their ranks who everyone knows are brutal criminals, which then makes you complicit. So you either go along with that culture or you leave. So there's only cop culture people who are cops, and if you're not a cop culture person, you get out. You don't make it through the academy, or they get rid of you, or they do you a Serpico on you. So that's what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? Am I being clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
The most interesting thing to me, though, about this whole situation, Jimmy and Jackson, is seeing the conservatives, some of them online, turn on the cops, like just go after the cops. It's been like, you know, when we were down for force the vote and stuff, you know, and a couple of days later, it was the J6 situation. First of all, there were more cops at our event, and there was like 40 or 50 of us. I thought that Fiorella and Jackson were both going to get arrested. It was twice as many cops than there were at the Capitol a couple of days later. But the thing that was so like just mind-boggling is when the gas came out, seeing a lot of people go, "Come on, Blue, we fought for you. Come on, Blue, we fought for you." They were puzzled. They were stunned that the cops were firing gas at them. And we were like, "Hey, man, they don't work for you. They never have. They work for the people who control the White House, and they got a new boss coming, and it ain't your boss."
That's that. I did. What were they chanting? What were they chanting?
"Come on, Blue, we fought for you." As they're wiping their face, they were stunned. They're like, "I can't believe it." And we're like, you know, we had a friend that we'd go down to a lot of the rallies and the Second Amendment people. He's like, when they come for your guns, who do you think they're sending? And she used to point right to the LA Police Department. Them. That's who they're sending. They're like, no. Like, yes.
I'm not a good guy to ask about gun control laws or whatever, because I go back and forth on them all the time. I was always against guns. And then, of course, Waco happened. And then you're like, that's a little weird that they would do that. And they would go in with a tank. And instead of just waiting for the guy to go out to eat, to get groceries and arrest him there, and then they killed all those kids at Waco, and they wouldn't have done that if they were afraid for their own lives, because cops will never, as Uvalde proved, they're not going to risk their life, right? They like to play cowboy, but they don't want to risk their life, right? And they all got cowboy hats in Uvalde, that's for sure. So I go back and forth on this thing. So then I was for people having guns, and then I realized, well, if the government wants to get you, they have bigger guns than you, and they're always going to get it. And but I think I'm settling on maybe we have to license all the guns and require people to have permits and stuff like that, like the rest of the world does. Any country that allows their citizens to have guns makes them be registered and licensed and stuff like that. And maybe we definitely should be doing that if we're going to have guns. You definitely should do that.
I used to be anti-Second Amendment. Now it's like, no way. Now it's like, give me my gun. I'm gonna probably purchase my first gun coming up. But just that, as long as our government is the government it is, I think the citizens should be armed. Obviously, we want to do something with mental health and whatnot, but there's no way I think that we should, allow the government to kind of suppress the issue on the guns. Definitely from what they did in Canada, the way they're now taking away sales of new handguns. Yeah. Like, I'm just like, no, I'm sorry, but as long as the CIA exists, I want a peace.
Yeah, their ability to shut down you protesting by cutting off your bank account now, that, and people don't care. No one cares about it except like us. And people at my shows, when I bring it up at my shows, people get upset. But if I bring it up at a show that isn't my show, no one gives a shit. It's wild. Anyway, okay. Craig, does it scare you that the statistics say that if you own a gun, you're more likely to kill someone you know or yourself?
No, not at all. It does not for me. I don't have children, so I don't know, they can't get a hold of it. I don't have depression issues, so I'll be fine. But I would rather, I'm so sorry, the old slogan, I'd rather, have a gun and not need it than need a gun and not have it. And, it's just the world we live in nowadays, and unfortunately, my main reason for wanting to have a gun is because the government has guns. And I think that's one reason why they haven't come and taken away everything from us or putting us on complete lockdown and gone crazy, is the fact that Americans have guns. That's the one thing that's stopping them from complete authoritarianism. That's my just personal opinion. So
I agree with that. We could be Australia.
Oh my God. Look what they're doing in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, again, like, I'm so back and forth on this. I certainly don't want the government to be the people, but what are you going to do? All right. Well, I think that's it for today. Craig Pasta, I appreciate you coming on. Everybody check out Craig. He's got a new show. It's called the AM Wake Up Show, which is every day from what time to what time?
7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday Pacific time.
And then he also does, of course, the Convo Couch.
Yep. I'm in Vegas. Fiorella's in Moscow. We do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then we have pickup shows on Tuesday. We have a big show tomorrow. Special guest. Not going to announce it, but we're going to have a special guest tomorrow on both shows. So, yeah, fun stuff.
All right. Craig Pasta, thank you so much for lending your expertise. Jackson Hinkle, the host of The Dive, thank you also very much for joining us again today. Everybody check out Jackson Hinkle, The Dive. Okay. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys. Thanks for having me on.
July 3rd, we're doing a live show in Los Angeles, and then we're going to Chicago, Sacramento, San Diego, Bakersfield. See you there. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets.